Wells Fargo calling it a pivotal milestone. Joining us exclusively here at Post 9, Wells Fargo CEO Charles Scharf. Charlie, first, I'm going to wish you congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But please wish everyone at Wells Fargo congratulations, because this really was a whole team effort.
Because you gave them all $2,000.
We did. We gave an equity award to every employee in the company, whether you're a teller, you're an operations person, trader, bank, or whatever. And what we wanted to make sure people understood is that they all had something to do with it. We wanted them to be thinking about the company going forward and hopefully sharing the upside. But it really was a team effort, and there's no better way to show that to people.
A lot of people have asked me during this period, like, what was happening and what's different now that the cap is off?
Well, honestly, yesterday versus today, the only thing that's different is the perception of Wells Fargo, which is incredibly important because we've always been perceived as being in the penalty box, being behind the eight ball in terms of what we can do. And until our regulators actually did the work and said they are a different company, it's just me talking, and that means far a lot less than they do. But the reality is, going forward, as time evolves and as the world evolves, we have the opportunity to expand in ways, in a very methodical way, built on the processes that we built, but think about ideas and expand in ways that we wouldn't have been able to do it when the cap still existed.
Well, let's go there. What was the effect of not being able to grow versus the 2018 deposits when it was $1.4 trillion for J.P. Morgan and you were $1.2? I think there's a disparity. And what does that disparity mean for you now?
Well, listen, and I want to be really clear, which is when we look back at what happened, the things that we did were very wrong, and we can argue about how long it took, but things had to get fixed. So I'm not going to be complaining about what the impact was. But when you look back over a period of time, people have done different estimates. I think there's an estimate in the Journal today where they think that we probably turned away $400 billion in deposits over this time period, just based on market growth. And based upon the things that we've seen, we would agree with something like that, let alone if we were able to invest and try and actually take some share from some of the others, like some of our competitors have done. That number could even have been higher. And it's not just the deposits. Once you have the deposits, it's the ability to provide advice, provide investment services. If it's a corporate, it's the ability to help them access public markets. It really is relationship-based in terms of how you think about deposits. Hugely significant. And now we have the ability to compete differently going forward.
Do you think it was punitive beyond the actual reason for the penalty back then?
I think that when you look at what the regulators said we did wrong, no question they were right. It's always hard to, listen, I wasn't there. It's always hard to look back and say, does the punishment fit the crime? But there's no doubt that significant action needed to be taken because of the things that we had done and the fact that we weren't making the kind of progress that we're expected to make. And so the reality is the regulators have been extremely tough on us, extremely direct, and I think appropriately so. I really have no issue with that. And when we look at what's been accomplished, it wouldn't have been accomplished if they hadn't given us the orders, if they hadn't been tough on us, if they hadn't forced the management and board changes that they forced, quite frankly. And so all those things come together to create a sense of urgency, the license to bring in a new team and to focus on these things in a very different way. Was the exact punishment, was the asset cap the right answer, or could have been something else? It doesn't matter at this point.
What are you going to do with all the people who were involved in compliance? What are you going to do with the money you'll save compliance? Please do not answer that nothing will change, because that would be ridiculous.
No, I think, but it is important to understand we built a lot of things that didn't exist. So a lot of the disciplines that are embedded in the company have to continue. And we're completely committed to making sure that happens. That is what running the company with the appropriate risks mindset means. That's what I mean when I say building on the processes and culture that we built. But the fact is, these have been a bunch of big projects to get a lot of work done. We've had a lot of people, a lot of outside resources dedicated to that. And when we put together, the work from, these 14 consent orders, it's not always done as efficiently as you can because time matters. So we do have the opportunity over a period of time to be more efficient in how we do it. And quite frankly, it'll make it actually better controlled because we're thinking about it now holistically with the right kind of foundation. So, yeah, there are efficiencies to come. We have lots of opportunities to become more efficient away from this work. So all in due time.
All right. So, Charlie, you came in 2019. How many consent decrees did you think you needed when you took over?
Well, I knew the number of consent orders that were public. I knew what was required by reading the orders. What I didn't know is where we stood on all of that work. And yeah, I was very surprised at the fact that we hadn't made more progress on that work, that we didn't have all the right disciplines in place. I've talked about the fact that I think one of the most important things I've done, in addition to bringing in people that could actually get this work done, to complement the people that were there, was making clear it's our top priority. So when we think about what was surprising, the numbers of orders weren't surprising, but where we were and how much work was still in front of us, I expected it to be a lot, but no question more than I would have expected.